One thing I do, and I would love for you to take the time to describe is, I think that the menstrual cycle is something that a lot of women don't really have education around. Like they've maybe never actually been like taught like what it actually looks like. So could you maybe, for the listeners, for my female listeners out there, like what is a normal menstrual cycle? Like, can you kind of go through and describe the process of the menstrual cycle?
Yeah, so our menstrual cycle, it can range from about like 25 to 32 days is a normal menstrual cycle. And there are two phases in the menstrual cycle. So a couple of things happen physiologically, psychologically. So, and it's not exact because you can have the phases can be shorter or longer depending on your cycle and if you have something going wrong. But normally, so day one of your cycle will be when you bleed. So that's when your period comes. So day 1 to about day 14 is what we call the follicular phase. So this is when estrogen is predominating. There's about no progesterone levels. And this is when you're building up your uterine lining prior to what's called ovulation. So around day 14, I say around because it's not on specifically day 14. So on day 14 is when that follicle, because that's the follicular cycle, the follicle, quote unquote, ruptures, it explodes, and that is when the egg is going to start traveling to your uterus to be implanted. So on day 14, that's when that happens, and that is when LH and FSH levels spike up. And that's what triggers the ovulation. So when that happens, then you see a rise in progesterone levels. And so day 14 to like day 28, day 32, that's what's called the luteal phase. And this is when estrogen will go up and then go down. And that's when progesterone peaks. So progesterone is what's going to help really thicken that lining just in case you're pregnant. And then, of course, the corpus luteum will form, and then the baby will have its little birthplace to be. So that is a general outline of what happens in the menstrual cycle physiologically, psychologically, and then, the mental game. A lot of women, day 1 to day 14, they feel pretty good, minus, some people deal with PMS, but they're energized. They have a good amount of strength. And this is because of estrogen levels. And then day 14 is when they, around that, they're like hyper happy. That's because ovulation, making them rambunctious, I would say. And then day 14 to day 28, day 32 is when things kind of slow down. They feel, more secluded, more, a lot of people feel tired, a lot of inward type of things, and strength can take a hit. So that's what happens kind of like on a mental, psychological level.